And for more on this, I'm joined by global affairs analyst Bolu Michael-Biyi. He joins us from Swatini. Mr. Michael-Biyi, thank you so much for coming on. Please tell us, what are the factors contributing to the delay in reaching a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, despite active talks in Doha, although they're on the third day?
Well, thank you for having me. I think one key factor causing a delay in the talks is that they have, different goals. For example, Israel wants, for a temporary ceasefire, but they don't want the war to end. While the opposite, they want the withdrawal of troops, of Israeli troops, and also an end to the war. So these having different goals, I think, is one of the issues. Another issue is that they have specific demands, both Israel and Hamas. Israel is demanding. Hamas, for example, wants guarantees that the ceasefire agreement will lead to something that is lasting. That will lead to a permanent end to the war, whereas Israel wants, other things involved in maybe like exchange of hostages and the rest of that. So these specific demands, both sides are not willing entirely to give in on the other person's request, and also they have certain trust issues. That's for sure, because both sides have accused each other of violating ceasefire agreement. So when a new ceasefire agreement proposal is put forward, it's met with skepticism by default. So both are just trying to play safe and be careful. There are complex issues involved. For example, determining the timeline for the ceasefire, how long it's going to be, how many hostages should be released, and when they should be released. They should be released. These complex issues, they take time for both parties to kind of reach a consensus, an agreement as to what should be done. So I think these are competing factors and some of the reasons why there's a delay in the ceasefire talks.
And how significant is Qatar's role as a mediator in the Israel-Hamas negotiations, and what leverage does it hold with both parties?
Well, yeah, and Qatar is a neutral country. They have good relationship with Israel and the United States, as well as Hamas, and they have the resources. So they've been doing this for years, in cooperation with Egypt as well. So they're a respected country when it comes to mediation, and Israel trust Qatar to relay messages to Hamas. Hamas also, the kind of owe a level of allegiance to Qatar, being that Hamas leaders are hosted, by Qatar, and also they receive financial aid from them. And the other countries like Saudi Arabia and Egypt, they want stability within the region, and they might, because Qatar wants to get some points from the United States, they will be keen to have this conversation with the other countries within the region to be able to have a deal for Palestine. So because they have a good relationship with all the parties involved, Israel, Hamas, and also the United States, they play a very significant role in the negotiation process.
Right. And how might the proposed 60-day truce impact the broader dynamics of the Israel-Gaza conflict and regional stability?
Okay, every truce, it will given for humanitarian support. It allows for humanitarian aid to flow in. It gives them some short-term, temporary relief. Let's not forget that this is a war that has taken the life of over 1,200 Israelis and over 57,000 Palestinians. So, it gives room for, humanitarian aid to be able to pass through. Also, it allows for hostages to be released. I think I'm aware that between 10 and 20 living persons have to be exchanged and about 18 dead bodies. But when there's this, when hostages are released, it gives room for trust, and it allows the Israeli public as well to maybe temper down their anger a bit, and actually not put pressure on Netanyahu to seek total annihilation of the Palestinian state. Also, I'm aware that the Hamas, they have fears that after the 60 days that the war might resume, but they are hoping as well that the 60 days can lead to certain talks that will end up in having a permanent, a permanent agreement for the war to stop. So it also has a regional impact. When there's a truce, it can trigger other peace talks. For example, especially following this Israel-Iran face-off, countries within the region are trying to seek some stability. So if there's a truce between Israel and Hamas for now, it can trigger talks, for example, talks between Israel and Syria, and it can have a ripple effect within the region, and we can see more stability there. So, yeah, the 60 days can actually have more impact on the region than just the 60 days.
Right. Well, I must say thank you, Bolu Michael-Biyi, for taking out the time to join us. Bolu Michael-Biyi, Global Affairs Analyst, giving us a bit of insight following negotiations on a truce for the Israel-Gaza conflict. Switch gears now, and still in the Middle East, as military on Tuesday